I mean, what happened to just like the one video song? Like, why?
Oh, yeah, no, you're showing your age. Like, no, we want the whole album.
I
We
know.
want we want the whole album with video to be a cinematic universe. That's what we need. Which,
That,
you realize that Michael Jackson was preparing us for this very thing.
well, but his was what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
No, like Moonwalker was like a whole 2 hours. But that's not what we're talking about. I was on the interwebs and I was looking at these arguments that were happening on Facebook, and people were talking about like who is the greatest villain of all time, and people were just like, "Oh, it's Thanos," from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or "Oh, it's Lex Luthor," right? It's Lex Luthor, that's Superman's person, or it's the Joker.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty high up there.
The Joker. That would be your vote. Thanos made everybody disappear with a. I feel like you're doing with the snap.
Wow.
Huh?
Cruella de Vil.
Cruella de Vil. Yeah, she was on some stuff because she was trying to murder puppies. So that's weird.
That puts her on another level.
That's rude. But no, I have person that beats all of that.
Who?
Greatest villain of all time. You ready? Of all time.
All right.
Stefano DiMera.
From 40 years ago, soap opera.
First of all,
105.
Stefano DiMera.
No.
It's Stefano DiMera. Stefano DiMera, the greatest villain of all time. Of all time.
Yeah, I don't know if people are even going to know who that is if they watch this. They'll be like, "Oh, she just made that up."
No, because Stefano, see, here's the thing. First of all, if you were in that whole Generation X millennial, where you were like at home in the summertime, right? And you were either at your grandmama's house or at your mama's house, who was a school teacher, which was our mother and father were school teachers. So the television is on in the summer, right? I'd come down the staircase. I had to be about 10. I'm pretty sure you were working summers, but you would come home during lunch.
I would. I worked at the mayor's office.
You would come home during lunch, and you and mama would sit and watch Days of Our Lives because it came on between 12 and 1 every day, right? So I remember coming down the stairs, and it was the summer, and the people who grew up around this town know this. It was the summer that Marlena was possessed.
I remember that one. Which actually I thought about not watching because I just said, okay, they're running out of stories or something. This is so out of control.
Yes, Marlena was possessed, right? And they brought John in, apparently, who was like a priest, but they had like a. You might have been in. I don't know. No, you were because you were like 17, so you were still in like high schoolish age.
Okay, I don't remember.
Marlena is possessed. John, who she had a relationship with, like the priest or something, they're trying to like get rid of her possession or whatever. But ultimately, the end of the story arc for that summer was them finding out that Stefano was responsible. Okay. Right. Fast forward to the following summer. I think at that point you are home from college. We're sitting watching Days of Our Lives together, and there's like this huge party at some castle in this crazy made up, it's set in Salem, one of the Carolinas, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're having some beach party or whatever, and some chick washes up on the beach, right? So they take her into this room, and nobody recognized, she's all like got like seaweed or something on her. They turn her over, right? You are sitting next to me. You gasp. You're just like, oh my God. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? You were just like, it's Hope. I was like, who? She was like, girl, that is Bo's like boo. And I was like, who is Hope? And so then you proceed to tell me this story about Hope Brady, and she was lost, and now she's found, and Bo and Billy were together. So now Billy was feeling some kind of way that Hope is back, but by the time Hope wakes up on the bed, she's not Hope, she's Gina. And they're just like, we don't know if this is the real Hope or the fake Hope. It all boils down to
this.
listen, let me tell you, because why? Because he's the greatest villain of all time. It all comes down to the fact that Stefano had kidnapped the real Hope and then found a fake Hope that was a princess who he brought back to Salem. So the real Hope had been in his like dungeon for like 3 years at his house, right?
Right.
And then Gina was pretending to be Hope, but she really wasn't Hope. And then Bo falls in love with Gina because he thinks that she feels like Hope. And then Billy was in her feelings. And ultimately, Bo and Gina end up together. But then the real Hope, like, escapes from the basement or whatever. Stefano DiMera.
Yeah, but he didn't really do anything. Like you just told a story about a love triangle.
No. He was responsible. Okay. I got a better one then. I don't remember the character names. Stefano, there were these two women. One was close to Stefano and one wasn't. Okay. And they were both pregnant at the same time. And something happened with one of the women. And so Stefano wanted the other woman's kid. So he kidnaps the women and puts them to sleep. Okay. And then he switches their embryos so that they carry each other's kids. I want to say it was Lexi and Hope's kids, but I'm not totally sure on that. But yes, so they go through this whole procedure where they switch. You're saying no already.
No. I just need clarification.
Yes.
So when you say switch embryos, like they're in a petri dish?
No. They were already pregnant. And then the doctor / scientist.
So embryos in utero.
Yes.
Inside the bodies.
Yes.
No, we're not gonna even continue.
No, that's part of my argument. You cannot dismiss my argument. This is why he's the greatest of all time. They switch the embryos so that the other woman doesn't realize she's not carrying her baby. And then when they give birth to the other person's baby. So then ultimately you find out when they do a DNA test at the hospital that the DNA doesn't match the mom, but it ultimately like matches the other person. And then that's how they know that they weren't really carrying their kids. Stefano DiMera.
Yeah.
Who else does that?
No. Let me tell you, that's trash. And that, my friend, is why I can't watch anything that has to do with medicine on television and take it seriously. Like, I think so. Clearly, I was in high school or whatever.
It was high school / college.
So I was still stupid enough to be like, that probably doesn't make any sense, but this story is really good. So but now I would have just walked away and be like, you know what, this is where the producers didn't speak to anybody that is in medicine. They just said Billy Willie and said, why don't we just? Because that makes absolutely no sense.
You're stuck on being able to switch embryos between two women. That's in utero
of their body.
Wait, so back up, because you're saying it would have worked if they were in petri dishes. Like, that sounds like science fiction.
No, that's.
I know it happens. Like that happens.
Internet search and you will see it. Yeah. There's been fertility clinics that have apologized or whatever because they inserted the wrong. They had specimen in one for labeled for one family and in another, and then somehow they got mixed up. So this woman actually delivers, but she delivers somebody else's baby. But that switch happened
in the lab.
Outside of the body. Yeah.
Yes.
In the lab.
This switch happened at a regular hospital in a regular OR. No, actually, I lied. The switch happened. So, Stefano's mansion, he had a full out laboratory and like a medical facility. So it happened in the basement of his mansion. He had doctors that were on his payroll.
Yeah.
Specialists from overseas, from Europe, that knew how to do the procedure.
Yeah. He probably had their families locked up in dungeons saying, if you don't do this, most people would walk away from the money and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this because you know, I
You're
took
saying real life doctors would be like, no, this is crazy.
this is crazy. I'm not doing it. But you know, you got my 6-year-old locked up in the
Right.
room, so I kind of have to do it. Yeah, no,
You have my cat.
now I'm gonna have to go back and no, I was gonna say I have to go back and watch it, but I don't think I can because the whole time I'm gonna be seeing, you know, they're pulling this out. First of all, they're how are they dilating the cervix and then pulling like how are they
No, they go in through they go in through the abdominal
no,
whatever.
they don't. This is getting more ridiculous. Wait, how far along were these women?
They weren't showing. You knew they were pregnant through like dialogue and storyline or whatever, but they weren't. I don't remember them being too. Or maybe they were far enough along for you to know. Maybe they were showing. They were probably showing, and then they would.
That's called a delivery. That's called a C-section. Like, what are you saying to me? And the fact that you're no, they went through the abdomen as if that's more of a viable option. That's completely ridiculous.
No,
Completely.
okay.
Wow.
You can't dismiss.
No, it's
But
dismissed.
he.
It's dismissed. But go ahead. But he what?
So no, and then so then ultimately when the babies were born and there was a DNA test done, of course they called for the DNA test to be done at the hospital. The hospital runs a DNA test, and then at first somebody switches the DNA test at the hospital lab on purpose so that nobody knows that it's their, you know, their baby or whatever. And then ultimately through the series of storylines they find out that that's, you know, their real kid because they have a hunch. Usually by then the kid's like 10 months old. So in 10 months old in soap opera time is like 4 weeks later.
So, what if the moms had like different blood types and RH status? Like how do they like you can't do that. You can see this is the problem with television.
Okay.
They don't put this let me ask you this. When you were watching it, do you
Yes.
remember like small print under that whole
No, it's a soap opera. There's no small print.
home or this is not really possible, it's make believe and fake? Did you see that? No.
No.
And but best believe that
They know we're smart enough to know
okay.
that I I will say this. 11-year-old, 12-year-old me thought that that surgery was possible. Okay. 40-year-old me knows that that surgery is an absolute impossibility. At least after you said that it was.
So, but we talked about this the last time. When we talked the last time,
Yes.
I was telling you there are so many people that have come in labor, and they're on their second day of labor, and they're just like, and I've heard them say, I'm not making this up. They've
Yeah.
said, this doesn't it doesn't take this long on television. So somewhere in the back of the head,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's thinking that it's possible.
That they can switch embryos.
Yeah, and I know on a serious note, there
Yeah.
have been people that I know of patients, or you know, other colleagues talking about patients that say if they had a abnormal pregnancy, like a tubal pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
where the embryo, the baby, we'll use that
Yes.
term, is in the tube and not inside of the womb.
Right. That is ectopic.
Ectopic
Of
pregnancy, EC. Well, okay, yeah, ectopic pregnancy.
ectopic. Yeah.
They have, you know, they some people have asked, can you just take it out of the tube and put it inside of the womb?
Okay.
Which
And you can't
no,
do that. You can't do that.
yeah,
Okay. I would then probably believe that there may be some media that contributes to people's misunderstanding of how things work.
yeah,
Like, you know, like even in that, but even with that storyline with Stefano, who I maintained, there is no other villain that can possess people, switch embryos, go kidnap fake people and make them real people while the real person is sitting in the basement of the house.
no,
I mean, I would have loved to have seen somebody do like a DNA tree of like Stefano Demira's line because he had so many children.
He had so many
He had
kids.
so many kids and like half kid,
So many kids.
half all these half siblings were like running around Salem. It was really weird. And then actually, that brings up a good point.
What?
There were like 3 families on that whole island. There were the Brady's, the Demiras, and the Hortons. And that was it. Like there were no other last names.
But they still had weddings and still had kids.
Yeah, now that's gross.
Mm.
That's gross.
No,
I feel like this is gonna go deeper into like genetics than I think you're willing to dive.
no,
Question.
Oh,
Go ahead. I know I have a question for you. So you're a real doctor. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you got it all. So
Yeah.
you've done, how many deliveries have you done?
Oh, I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, and I know doctors that can kind of just say, I've done X amount.
mhm.
For me, it was, I think, 300 in my first year of residency, and residency is 4 years. And then after that, I was just like, I'm good.
That's
And
ridiculous. 300 your first year of residency.
residency started, what, 19 years ago?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no, I'm good. I don't know.
Okay.
Quite a few.
All right. So on TV,
Hmm.
specifically this show,
Days of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives, they'll deliver a baby, somebody's unsure, and actually this happens on a lot of soap operas. Somebody is unsure that the baby is theirs.
Hmm.
They're just like, we'll do a DNA test. They draw blood, they send it downstairs to the lab. A couple episodes later, which technically in soap opera time is the same day, depending on how the storyline is going.
Hmm.
They know, ta-da, this isn't your kid, this is your kid. You ever had that happen?
They're drawing blood on the kid.
Yeah, they draw blood on the kid and the you might be the father.
Yeah, you don't even really need to draw blood per se. They have other ways that they can test for DNA.
But drawing blood is more dramatic. So
Drawing blood is more dramatic, but yeah, you don't have to do it. But yeah, you can. People do that now. I mean, if there's a question of paternity, then after delivery, especially if there's a question of paternity after delivery, yeah, they can test to confirm.
and that test comes back the same day?
I don't really know, honestly.
Oh, that's not part of your problem.
I deliver the baby and I give it to them, and I'm just like, y'all figure it out. Y'all figure this out. I'm gonna come and see you tomorrow. Make sure you're okay and discharge you, and make sure everything's all right. But this
Have you
other
ever been in a situation where you delivered a baby and you were just like, oh,
no.
you don't do that. You're a sweet doctor.
No. It's not that. It's just kids don't look the same. You have 4 kids.
I do. I do.
That when those kids come out, they look like one person, and then a day later, they look like, after the swelling has gone down on the trauma of the delivery, they look like
My kids came out looking like you. So
I appreciate that still. But think about it. They all look like their own different person. Like one of them looks dead like you. Like she
Yes.
is your mini me.
Yes.
She's your mini me.
does.
So no, I'm not going to deliver a kid and be like, no, I have delivered. The only thing that I've done is deliver a kid. Everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, it's a boy. And they're like, what?
Wait, why? Why were they surprised? Like now you're not allowed to be surprised in this day and age. You can legitimately like put cameras inside the womb at this point.
No, you cannot. See, and this is why we have to stop this madness. No, you're not putting cameras inside of the room.
You might as well.
No, ultrasounds aren't 100%. They're pretty accurate with anatomy. But every now and then you'll get one where, if the baby's legs are crossed, a lot of times they'll assume it's a girl. But if the baby's legs are crossed and maybe the legs are crossed and they see the actual umbilical cord and think it's something else, you'll be like, no, this is I tell people, hey, you buy clothes for the kid that's coming, keep your receipts.
Keep your receipts. Okay. There was one time I was watching, I don't know what soap opera this was. And the doctor delivered, it might have been Days, because I watch Days and I watch Passions. Now, if you want to talk about crazy soap,
Let me tell you something.
Passions was insane.
Passions.
But on Days of Our
I
Lives,
didn't really get into Passions.
Passions, I was a diehard fan of Passions. Like I could sing the theme song right now. Like I was a diehard. And I don't even know why. Because you think the Days of Our Lives was absurd. Passions was absurd. It was absurd. So
I don't even, when did it come on? It was NBC?
it came on. So it came on. I was in high school by the time Passions came on. Passions had the type of storylines where, like, if a person was sleepwalking, because Eve was a doctor on Passions, and her sister came to visit her, and there was a storyline where her sister was in love with her husband, and so she would pretend to sleepwalk. And so the husband would call his wife and be like, tell me what to do. She's sleepwalking. And she's like, don't wake her up because you could give her a heart attack. You just have to kind of go with it. So then she would like sleep with him in the sleep.
Stop it. Are you serious? Are you making this up? You're making this up. Are you making this up?
I'm not making it up, because it's just like, so then he would like be like, oh my goodness, honey, I don't know what she's doing. She's like, no, you can't wake her up because it'll give her a heart attack. And then of course, shenanigans would be.
You all need to take responsibility. You need to take responsibility for these inaccuracies that even though I have heard some crazy stories about sleepwalking, so I don't know about that one. But
so you're saying it's not date. So the piece of that storyline was that it was too dangerous to awaken someone that is sleepwalking, because if you do, it could give them a fatal heart attack and they could die. I'm assuming you're shaking your head at the not truthfulness of that.
No, I'm shaking my head at the fact that you watch this ratchetness from one soap opera to the next, and you're okay with it. No, so I don't know about the sleepwalking thing.
Well, I can say with the sleepwalking thing, because we
know the sleepwalking thing.
Well, my oldest for a while had that issue.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay if you wake them up. like they don't die. Now if there's like a sleep specialist that's watching this, I can't comment any, like, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm just saying that sometimes it's less dangerous to wake them up. Like if you allow them to keep going, you actually can put them in mortal danger. Because I mean, like, our oldest used to get up and like walk around the house, and he was thinking he was like out and about. But you know,
I am unaware that if you wake up someone, they can go into a full out cardiac arrest.
Right. I don't.
Sleepwalkers, where people didn't think that, and they woke them up like, Johnny, get back in there. Just yelling along.
Get back in the bed. Yeah.
Emptying their bladder in the corner of the house.
Right, exactly. So no, but on one of those shows, it was either Passions or Days. There was a delivery where somebody was delivering a baby. And then after the baby was delivered, the woman all of a sudden starts having like these new contractions, and the doctor goes back over. It's just like, oh my gosh, you're having twins. There's another baby in here. Does that ever happen?
To me? No. No.
That's never happened.
No. Could it happen? Potentially. So if a person doesn't know that, let's say the person has never gotten prenatal care, they're kind of fluffy. So it's get heart tones with the little, the
Doppler thingy that they put on. Yeah.
Then I could see how that would happen.
How far-fetched of it is. I mean, because or you hear them say, oh my goodness, this baby must have hidden behind the other baby in the ultrasound.
Wait, for the whole 9 months?
Well, that's the premise of them having a surprise twin. It's just like, oh my goodness, this baby was hiding behind his brother or sister in the ultrasound.
Less likely, but just my luck. As we're talking about this, somebody is doing an internet stuff. He's like, "Mom, I saw
Right. Because
it."
my sister said, yeah,
Right.
no.
No, I don't think so. First of all, if they got care the entire time, the best time to
Mhm.
see a baby or a fetus is like in the first trimester, and you can pretty much see all of them, pretty much, because they're so tiny.
Yeah.
Um, but and potentially it could get harder. Um, I don't see them missing twins. Triplets could be harder. You know I know people who've delivered triplets. I've even delivered triplets, where it's a little harder, but you know that they're all there.
I have issues watching labor on TV because
Mhm,
it's the exact same scenario. She's screaming and breathing through it.
mhm,
The husband or partner is standing next to her holding her hand.
mhm,
Squeeze my hand at the next contraction.
mhm.
And, it's like, okay, and she's like, oh, I want to push. No, you can't push right now. And then she's screaming. And then she like probably screams an obscenity at her husband or partner or whatever.
Yeah.
You did this to me. And she's sweating. And then the baby comes out and it's in movies they put like grape jelly actually on the baby.
Why
um
grape?
well, grape or strawberry preserves to kind of give them that
Oh,
whole
okay.
you know
Yeah.
new baby look, and
Mhm.
they immediately put the baby on the mom and she's like crying and kissing on the baby or whatever, and I'm just like,
So what is your issue with that? Because
all
it
of it.
happens.
I ain't even issue with all of it.
Because what you just mentioned, it does
Yeah,
happen. It happens like that.
that happens. It doesn't only happen like that, and I guess
Of
because
course not.
I
Of
would
course.
like to see, like I remember being in labor and I
Mhm.
actually didn't talk a lot, which probably is why so many things happened. But,
Mhm. Your whole
you know,
conversation.
yeah, I wasn't very, in fact, I had like a rule like don't touch, don't hold my hand, don't rub anything, like just are you okay? I'm good. Just everybody shut up. Everything's fine. There was no screaming, you
Yeah,
know.
but I think that's what I always try to tell people, that it doesn't look just like television. It
Yeah.
can look like what you experienced. But what I would tell you is what you see on television can look like that too. It can look like anything. I
You
mean,
you've had
I'm
those
walking around
situations
with
where
a person that's standing straight on top of the bed. Like it can be anything. It can be whatever. So
have you been in a situation where the husband or the partner is passed
wait,
out?
wait, just I can't, if it's real specific, I can't, I can't say it.
Well, yeah, okay. But I'm not asking, wait, I thought HIPAA was like you can't give me names.
Yeah, but if it's like really crazy, unique situation,
So it's
like,
a general question.
all right.
Have you ever done a delivery where the partner, whether it was the birthing partner or the family member, has
Mhm.
passed out in the
Oh
room?
yeah. Oh,
I'm mad. I'm mad. 'Cause clearly
oh
that's
yeah.
happened more than once. That
Oh
happens.
yeah.
That happens in real life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So it's so funny because seasoned nursing staff, they see it coming on. Like they're just like, okay, all right, now, Dad, we're gonna have you stand closer to that chair because we only got one patient that we can pay attention to. You just sit on down. It is lovely to
Oh
see
my
how they handle.
gosh.
But I'm usually not paying attention. But as soon as I hear, now, Dad, I think you need to sit. Oh yeah, that
That
happens.
happens.
Oh, yeah, that happens.
I thought that was like some sort of dramatic, like,
No.
the husband's like, "Oh, I can't," and then he just passes out. I'm just like, nobody does that. Who passes out? Really?
Yes. Yes, they
Wow.
do. They do. I promise you, it is, and it's the funniest thing when you hear the voice of the nurse change, and it's just like, "Okay, now, Dad." Moment. So they try to prevent that and have them, back up and sit. First of all, I need to acknowledge the fact that this is
Mhm.
extreme of consciousness conversation where we're talking about villains And now we're talking about folk passing out during a delivery and grape jelly on the babies. Like where,
Strawberry preserves.
but I'm just saying, you see all different types of personalities in those situations.
That's
really
amazing.
it's really cool.
I legitimately thought that, oh, they're doing that for TV. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Women don't do that. And I guess because we come from a family where everybody goes like super calm in crisis. So it's just like, nobody does this in real life.
So it looks like the house is on fire now.
Right, exactly. Like that's what I know. That's what I know, and oddly enough, unlike you, the only delivery I've ever really been in is my own.
Yes.
So I don't even know what other people's contractions look like. I just assume they look like mine, where I was just like, this hurts.
No.
This is uncomfortable.
No, everybody's completely different. And the descriptions, some quite colorful, are completely different. I'll tell you offline some of the
right. Yeah, no. It's searing. Pain. As far as I'm concerned, the whole conversation made sense.
Yeah.
We talked about Stefano Demera, but ultimately we ended up talking about how his greatest criminal escapade of all time is medically impossible.
Yeah, completely fake and medically impossible.
It is medically impossible, you said, and that's fine.
People even talk about him anymore?
Yeah, no. I've seen people, because I saw a post recently where they were comparing Stefano to Victor Newman. Is that the
Newman? Yes.
I don't know Victor Newman.
Yeah, Victor Newman. I'm trying to remember which one he was, but yeah.
But I literally recently saw a post where people just like, who's the baddest, between Victor Newman and Stefano Demera, who wins? And I was just like, Stefano wins because I've never heard any other soap opera accomplish possession as a criminal activity.
And transplanted embryos
in utero.
Yeah, that.
And switching DNA, like, no, I don't even have to know what soap opera Victor Newman was in to know that he is not as bad as Stefano. It's time to go. Anybody want to ask us questions? I don't think they're allowed to send. Are they allowed to send medical questions? We'll figure out how to do something with it. You're not allowed to give medical advice.
I mean, I can give it, but I'm gonna have to tell you this is not medical advice.
Right, this is not medical advice. You can tell people not to trust a doctor that says they can put embryos from another person that's already pregnant.
No. Go say what happened. They switch from.
Yes. They got the other person. Got the other person. You can confidently say, as a physician, board certified, that procedure doesn't exist. You
can confidently say, as a board certified director and playwright, the same thing. Anybody with common sense. See, this is I'm asking you to change what medicine looks like
in media. If you see something on stage or in the movies or on television, you're just like, is that medically possible? Gina will probably be more more quick to answer the medical questions, because apparently as a 10-year-old I thought you could switch embryos between two bodies.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. Even though now I'm going to get off and I'm going to search for that specifically. I'm going to see if I can find it.
It happened. It was Lexi or Hope or Vivian and somebody else. Like it was somebody in there that did it. But
yeah,
greatest villain of all time.
Yeah,
time for us to go. Scrubs and stage lights. We'll see you next week. Bye.
If you're all like, oh my goodness, writing feverishly this play, then your heart's like, oh my goodness, but it's been doing that all day.
Right. You don't know me.